Hey everyone, this is Brandon again, making another video. Just wanted to give an update on what's going on with me with the Klonopin withdrawal that I've been struggling with through this year, since 2018. I want to apologize for the lighting in here. Hopefully I can clean that up in editing on the edit before I upload it. But just moved into this area and still getting my office here set up. So bear with me on that. I'm not a professional YouTuber. But I just wanted to make this video to hopefully help someone else, and then, for my own sake of mine, look back and see in the documentation that yes, you are getting better. You're able to see, this process. Time truly seems to be the only thing that heals this thing. Quick recap: I started Klonopin under doctor's prescription and at a 1.1 milligram, 1.0 milligrams, whatever, back in 2012 around September, and I was also placed on an antidepressant called Lexapro. I was familiar with Lexapro, but they wanted them both together, and I was having a lot of trouble sleeping due to teeth grinding, severe teeth grinding, that they gave me a mouth guard for at night, which was silly to me at the time, but it didn't seem to matter because I chewed it up in my sleep. And they said, okay, well, that's a choking hazard, so we can't have that. So I was okay, so they put me on the Klonopin to take this at night, once a day. So I did, and it worked. It stopped, within a week. I was definitely not doing that anymore, and so didn't see it as a problem. However, I started playing around with taking less, because I was like, I don't need this much maybe. So knowing that I'd heard it was addictive and everything, and that eventually it may not work or something. To me, when the doctor had said something to the effect of, you realize you'll have to be on these the rest of your life, my understanding, and so I'm trying not to knock the doctor for it, maybe he should have given me a little more information, but he did make that statement. But my understanding was that I would go back to not being able to sleep or have anxiety, to not realize that what he meant was you'll have to stay on these the rest of your life, because all these crazy symptoms that you see in commercials about ask your doctor this, on this, or whatever, on this medication, that those would begin to happen. And as you know, if you're in benzodiazepine withdrawal, there's probably minimum 100 symptoms that are going on, and they're all different from day to day. Some are all compounded at the same time. But just to get an understanding of some of the basic symptoms, even right now, scrambling thoughts, over-talking yourself, trying to communicate 5 or 6 different thoughts at once, depersonalization. I'm not sure what that really means 100%, but to me it feels like there's a little bit, I'm sometimes not really in control of my own body, and I don't mean that like my body's going to run out and do something, but like you're watching a show sometimes. I was telling my wife, one of the ways it feels like to me is that, there's in my mind, it's almost like this hazy image of 4 people in a car racing down the road at full speed. I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm very much almost like a child, and the driver and the 2 passengers are all just literally punching and fighting and screaming for control of the wheel and what they want to do and all this stuff. And you're kind of reaching out trying to grab the wheel to take control, because your psyche, who you are, who I am, is feels like there's people competing for, and it's not like a schizophrenic kind of thing or a multiple personality kind of thing. I want to clarify that. It's just very much like trouble trying to figure out how to process all these emotions. Some of the things that Klonopin and benzodiazepine do are to kind of blanket some areas of your mind to help you cope with certain things. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I've never been to medical school. This is just my experiences. However, I do hope that it serves as some sort of basic idea of what can happen in this situation, and to inspire someone to not hurt themselves, to not hurt anyone else, and to, what I said in the last video, I believe, was to bring your environment in. What I mean by that is, don't keep up with the world, don't keep up with social media, for sure. All that is just, the world is real, but social media and the way the internet is, it's definitely turned the world into more of a fictional kind of situation. You're competing now like you're in high school or something. It feels like you are. You can't do that when you're in this kind of withdrawal. It's too much. I work online, and everything from social media strategies to just a lot of internet things. And I have a business online. I've actually had to take time off from that and allow someone else to run that. It's just something when you're dealing with just a multitude of accounts and things like that, it's just too much. And especially with everything that's going on social media and online these days. I mean, even reading the news online, it's just it's too much. So bring your environment in, whatever that means to you. What it means to me is I've tried to work from home more. Like I said, I don't work as much. I do work a little, but I've had to take time off from the business to just get things right until I heal. Thankfully, it's able to run still without me being there, but it's been important to kind of minimize the distractions. And I still go out, I do things, but I'm a little more selective about it. Kind of plan it. Just kind of take it easy and time. You're just gonna have to give it time. I was on these things for 6 years, like basically, and I jumped in 2018 of this year. It's July now. It's January. I said 2018 of this year. That really doesn't make sense, but January of this year, and I jumped at 0.25 milligrams after being on it since 2012. The doctor said that was safe to do, so I did it. I was only taking 0.5 pretty much the bulk of the time. Maybe the first year I took a milligram tops, but there again at night. But I was cutting them down. By the time I got to half a milligram and then quarter of a milligram, I just thought, hey, this is not working. I was having tolerance withdrawals, which basically is the medication was becoming pretty ineffective, but I was chemically dependent on it at the same time as it was just basically not working. And it made my anger worse, it made my depression worse, anxiety worse, started having actual physical symptoms, stomach problems, all kinds of things. Especially in 2017, it started having just mysterious stuff started happening. And I had had a mysterious illness from 2005 to 2012. Mysterious as in doctors couldn't figure it out, kept saying nothing's wrong. However, I was having physical symptoms to the point where there was bleeding and just it was getting out of control. And that was part of the reason they put me on the medication after the surgery. It saved my life. Was I just basically was afraid of everything that came around would make me sick again, and I'd go through it again. So I guess it was manifesting itself in my sleep. And so I lose your train of thought just like that when you're on this thing. You're talking so fast that you can't keep track of 5 thoughts at one time. Been one take in this basically. I'm not going to sit here and I'll edit it for lighting, but I'm not going to sit here and get this perfect speech out. I'm horrible at doing speeches, so I'm just going to one take this, and however it is, it is. But they also had me on Zymbalta. They ended up putting me on a really high dose, which turns out probably could be half the problem, but it was 120 milligrams. I hear 60 is a high dose, so 120 milligrams, that's a lot. And I feel like things got worse with that once the Klonopin was starting to leave my body more and more, because I guess they work hand in hand. I don't know. Like I said, it's the doctors. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just kind of giving my experiences. So when I jumped the first month, I started having a lot of problems with eye pain. It felt like there was a lot of crawling sensations on my eyes. My skin was hot. My stomach was hurting incredibly bad. Just everything you can think of. And so here we are in July, still kicking. I started having more energy and stuff, so I got back into working out and everything. So right now, I had been off the Klonopin for, I guess, 6-7 months. I've been weaning down from the 120 milligrams of Zymbalta. I am now at 60 milligrams. I know that's a little slow, I guess, considering some people say go 25%, or some of the documentation online says 25% at a time. I wasn't going quite that fast because I was thinking that I didn't want to do too much at the same time. But now I understand what polydrugging is, and that's a whole other thing too. So, like I said, some of these things you just have to Google, I guess, and do your research. Don't do too much because that'll freak you out too. But basically bring in your environment, and is what I've been doing, and trying to just kind of work a little bit light from home, do some things like that, spend time with the dogs, just take it easy, play video games. Video games have been great for me. Although, that gets kind of boring too. You just got to stay busy, but, not too stressed. is how it's been working for me. One of the things I love to do is play basketball, and I've had a lot of problems with basketball lately. Sorry, my computer just timed out. But one of the things that I've had to deal with is when I see things, when I'm out on the basketball court, sometimes it seems like the rim is kind of moving. And from what I understand, that is common with some of the Benzo withdrawal and Klonopin withdrawal. So definitely has affected my jump shot. But I still love playing basketball, so I get out there. However, one of the things I've noticed, I recently moved out to the St. Louis area, and I don't know if it's this way all over the country, but it gets really hot sometimes during the day. And I've lived in Tampa, Florida, and the South, and Atlanta, and I'm used to heat, but I guess there's this dry heat out here, so I don't know if it's playing a role or not. But basically what's happening in the last week or so is I'll be on the basketball court about 45 minutes, which is about all I can do right now. By the time I get in, I start feeling very lightheaded. At first you would think, okay, too much heat, but it starts kind of being more than that, like actual like chest pain, like to the left side, like kind of weird almost. I mean, I don't know what a heart problem feels like, but of course the paranoia and anxiety starts going crazy and stuff. So first time it happened was it feels like like kind of like the early on mini seizure I had 3 days after I jumped, which was basically they call brain zaps, brainstorm, brain zaps, but they become a brainstorm, and then you have a panic attack, and it just, it's bad. And so about a week ago, I guess it was last week, I played about an hour that day, and when I came in, everything, I kind of felt, a little overheated, and I was going to make a video actually, and I just couldn't stop sweating. It was just like sweating and sweating. I took a shower. I was like, it was like 2 hours later, I was still just sweating. And from what I understand, that's a thing of Cymbalta too. I don't know if it's gotten worse because the Klonopin is getting more and more out of my body, or is out of my body at such a high dose of Cymbalta. But by that evening, my wife was on her computer, and I was playing a video game, and I was actually laying on my back on the couch, and she was talking to me about Cymbalta and stuff, and I just couldn't even hear her, because all of a sudden I felt like my chest was, on the left side was pounding. I started kind of getting dizzy while I was laying down, getting like real warm, kind of flashes of like bright yellow. I know that's crazy, but like I've heard some people talk about in their withdrawal, they see sprites and things in the air and stuff, and I was kind of like getting like just really altered vision. And there again, I thought, okay, it could be the video game, but I hadn't even been playing the video game for more than 5 or 6 minutes, and so I laid there, tried to like let it rush through. Then it got worse and worse. I just got up and said, hey, I'm going to go lay down, and she followed me into the room, and within, 2 minutes, I just felt like I was just losing it. Like I felt like I was having a full-fledged, chest attack or something, I didn't know what was going on. So I got up and went to I just for some reason felt like I needed to get in the shower, a cold shower, to like just, I don't know why a cold shower came, I just thought I was burning up, sweating like crazy. And so I got in the shower, and before I could even turn it on, when I first got in, actually, I still had my clothes on. That's how out of it I was. I got in, and my wife was like, get undressed and everything. So I started trying to get undressed, and then I told her, please just turn the cold water on for me. So she reached in and turned the cold water on, and about that time, my legs just gave out from under me, and I just gone. It was like I was passing out. I wouldn't say I lost consciousness, but I definitely was not in control. I just fell out, and about the same time the cold water blasted, which was probably a good thing, because it kind of like hit me so hard, and I was in the middle of what felt like the first seizure, where I was like letting out a loud noise. The cold water, I guess, trying to hit me and just kind of simultaneously all kind of worked together. So I laid there for about 5 minutes cooling off in this cold water, and my wife sat there next to me, concerned, watching over. I'm not 100% of how she was handling it, but she was handling it. Ended up drinking water, hydrating, eating a little bit of food, all while laying on the floor because I couldn't get up. My legs were trembling. I didn't feel like I could walk. It was, honestly, in that moment, I thought I was dying. I mean, it truly felt like a heart attack, I guess. I don't know what a heart attack feels like, but I've never felt that before. Even the first seizure I had wasn't that intense to where I just lost control of my legs, just like rubber, and just dropped. So we managed to kind of cool me down, and I went to bed. Had chest issues all the way into the next day. Had a little bit of a serious. We went for a walk the next night, a very calm walk. Just not high paced or anything. And I didn't play basketball that day. We took the dogs for a walk, and by the time I got home, same thing. It wasn't quite as intense, but it happened again. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to play basketball anymore for a little while. And, my chest was hurting for a little while. I just kind of chalked it up to anxiety or a panic attack or something. I still don't know. Today I went out to play basketball. I was out there about 30 minutes. This, like I said, it had been 5 or 6 days since that happened. And I thought, okay, I haven't had a situation since then, since those 2 nights. And today I went out to play basketball. It was around 2 o'clock. And I was out there about 40 minutes or so. Got home and just hit the ground, and I knew it was coming on. I could feel it. And so when I hit the ground, I just laid there. We had hardwood floors, so it was kind of cool. So I just laid there on the floor, sweating like crazy. I was like, oh, here we go again. I started having my chest pounding. So I managed to get up and turn the air conditioner down all the way to 71 degrees. For some, that's probably still hot. I don't know. It's a little cooler for me. And I went back on the floor, still feeling those sensations. And eventually I needed to get in the showers. So I crawled over to the shower, literally, and turned it on, the same cool temperature, and just sat in the shower for about 15 minutes and until I got my head back. So I don't know if there's something to do with, blood pressure rising with, this situation within these withdrawals, or if it's just panic attack induced. I have no idea, but I'm clearly going to have to watch how much I overdo it and overheat and everything, because I feel like at 6-7 months off the Klonopin, my body is wanting to get back in and do things, because as you know, if you're in this situation, you feel like bringing your environment in is one thing, but being completely comatose doing nothing all the time can get a little old. I mean, I'm already not, I'm taking time off from work and allowing other people to do, run the thing, and it's it just gets a little overwhelming when you want to do something besides play video games and stuff, So hopefully that some of this will help other folks out there who, are freaking out, thinking that things are going on. You definitely want to do what you got to do to minimize your symptoms, but at the same time, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, which is one of the reasons I say don't over Google things, because that can send you into, another wave or whatever. And understand that waves and windows are going to come within this situation. You're going to, have some feelings of, I'm feeling better, maybe I'm coming through this, and then boom, you hit a wall, and then the waves come back. So, then you go through another window of goodness. Or sometimes I'll have, 1 or 2 symptoms, and then 9 or 10 of them will drop. But then, after about 2 days, those 9 or 10 will come back, and then the other 2 will drop. So it's crazy. You just have to kind of understand that ultimately time is what's going to heal it. For me, it's been an acceptance. Just accept, because you really don't have a lot of control of this situation. Doctors put me on it for 5.5, 6 years, and I don't want to say worst case scenario. Hopefully in 5 or 6 years I can be better. Hopefully a lot sooner. Hopefully a year or 2 years. I don't know. But there's a point of acceptance that I just have to accept that I can't rush this. Which is why taking time off from working on social media and getting out of all the craziness that's going on online with the politics shouting back and forth, people on one side or the other, or celebrity. It's a mess right now, and it's one of the things I can't keep up with. And like I said, so kind of taking time off that. I've tried to do a few other things that are interesting that aren't active, like playing basketball, taking photos, playing video games, but it's hit and miss. What I found helps me is, I love my dogs, is taking them for walks when I can. Hopefully when it's cooler or something, not to get, over sweat or anything. It seems like steam, too hot of showers, it seems to aggravate things, overdoing it, too much anxiety, worrying, all that makes all the physical symptoms worse. And to clarify, anybody else out there who's watching it, who's got a friend, loved one, whatever, that's going through this, and you're not familiar with this, best thing I would say to do is just be supportive, because people can lose their mind on this. What worries me is how many people out there have gone through this, are going through this, and have no idea. I'm not going to bring any like celebrity names of stuff we've seen in the news or anything. You can see, but it does make me wonder about, they say, well, such and such was found after, suicide, and there was no narcotics or nothing in his body or her body, whatever. And then you think, well, I'm going through this, and it's been 6-7 months. How do we know that this stuff wasn't present before? And then you find out, oh yeah, back in they did. It's crazy. The doctors don't know about this, or they don't want to know. And well, really, we're kind of on our own on this. It feels like. So hopefully, if you're in this situation where you're coming off of benzodiazepine, specifically, benzodiazepine, Klonopin, I don't really know what's going on with this involved taper, except I'm down to 60 milligrams off 120. From what I understand, the horror of that is still to come. I guess after 30, it gets kind of rough. I mean, it's been rough already. So, but if you're in the boat, going through this stuff, number one thing I can express in beg is don't hurt yourself. Don't think about taking your life. And I can't lie, I've thought about it a lot. Only through my loved ones have I been able to hold that off, because that's a tough struggle. You see no end or no light at the end of the tunnel, and you're thinking, I can't live like this. What's the purpose of life? To be boxed up in a home and not be able to get out and do things and play basketball, or go see a movie because you don't want to have a seizure or something in the middle. I mean, whatever it is that's going on. Just have to, hopefully the loved ones that are watching this will take that. You just have to be supportive, because people can lose their mind, and when you lose your mind, you can lose your body, and some of the things we see about on the news, like even I hate to say this, but the Vegas guy, from what I understand, that he had a previous history of using benzodiazepine. Vegas guy as in the mass shooting kind of thing. So, you wonder how many people out there have gone through these struggles and, didn't know, and no one else knew. Like how many of these children that are being placed so quickly on this medication, and then we find out we have this increase of, school shootings, and how many of the situations with, law enforcement, things are just out of control right now. And, no one wants to talk about this, elephant in the room, that, all these situations, whether police officers or firemen or kids in school or just, whatever, average Joe, we're being medicated, and we're being told these medications are just completely safe. But just you look at the warnings online, or look at the black box warning on some of these things. I'll give you Klonopin, for example. It's meant to take, I don't know if it's all benzodiazepine, but Klonopin for sure, 2 to 4 weeks is what it's supposed to be taken for. And that is considered a long time by some. After 2 to 4 weeks, it gets into tolerance withdrawals. The medication begins to, I don't want to say dilute, but become a little bit ineffective. It's not an overnight thing. It can take years for it to be completely useless. But if you don't raise your dose, or get on another medication or something else to polydrug to balance the medication, it's going to be ineffective at some point, and people are going to have withdrawals. And if they don't know what's going on, I don't know why I have all this anxiety. I'm on benzodiazepine for anxiety. It's like, well, how long have you been on that dose? 6 years. Well, it's not working anymore, and you're chemically addicted to it. So that's kind of what happened to me. And so only reason I'm even familiar with some of this stuff is through a little bit of research, and honestly the fact that from 2005 to 2012 I was going through a real sickness. Like I said, that's a whole nother story. It's crazy that some of that sickness may have been brought on from medicine too, which, like I said, it's another story. But then I don't want to overwhelm, but it's just crazy when you think about how much we're allowing medicines to affect our lives. My hope is that anyone out there that is lost will hold on a little longer, join these communities online. I haven't joined any of the online communities, but I have used their research and their knowledge and looked at their forums, and I've talked to people on YouTube a lot. It's been the most helpful, YouTube. Even with all the online work I've done, I never really thought about checking out YouTube to see if anybody was going through these things. And once I did and started talking to some people, I got a lot of encouragement to make videos for others. And so that's what I'm doing. Part of accepting the situation I'm in is accepting that I'm going to try to be clear on this. Like I said, all these thoughts are running through my head. It's hard to kind of make sense of some of this stuff in this withdrawal. But you feel like in accepting it, for me, I had to accept that, I hate to use the word death, but that in the end game, in death or whatever, a lot of people wonder about what they can leave behind and all this kind of stuff. And I get that because right now I feel very out of control of my own body. And all I can do is fight the best way I can, but more importantly, try to make a difference at least to somebody else out there. Because, not that it'll matter if I, died of cancer tomorrow or, whatever, but I want somebody to be able to look at this and maybe have some hope, because there's a lot of disinformation out there, and a lot of the doctors, like I said, don't know or don't want to talk about it. So, I don't know if it's a money thing, the pharmaceutical reps and stuff. I don't know. I have no clue why we've gotten to the point where you can go to a doctor that puts you on Klonopin, or for my case, Klonopin and Cymbalta, and ask them, okay, you put me on these medications, can you help me wean off? And then they look at you and oh, I don't have any experience with that. So we got experience writing a prescription for it. I don't understand this. You tell me they were safe. And noises. So anyways, my hope is that somebody can, if they're in this struggle, that will look at whether it's my videos or the multitude of others out there. There's a lot, which is sad too, but there's hope out there, and that you won't give up. And if all you do is just say, well, you know what, then I'm going to take control and document myself and make sure that I leave this. That's some control you can take, take that control. Don't be afraid, of what you look like online or what people are going to say and all this, because none of it matters. In the end, none of it matters. All that matters is you and your loved ones that help get you here. And so my feeling is, my loyalty right now is to myself and to those loved ones that are helping me out. And I hope that, that can manifest itself through these videos, or these videos can manifest, into basically helping other people, that are searching. And I'll probably never meet any of the people, just like I've never met any of the people that I've seen that have helped me and I've communicated with online, but hopefully that people will, find some hope, because the last thing you want to do is hurt yourself. It's going to sound cheesy to say this, but I care about you. I care about people. I'm sure you care about people. I want you to live. I want you to beat this, however you do it. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I love you, man. I don't want nothing to happen to you. I want you to beat this, and I mean that. I'm not just saying it. I truly, my breakdown video that happened the other day, and my wife was filming, I think I remember saying something to that effect. It's just the people that are struggling, makes me wonder about the homeless people, because there's a lot of similarities to the alcohol addiction and stuff, which I've never had a heavy struggle with when I was really young. I drank a little bit, but you never had a issue with it. But it does make you kind of a little open your eyes and give you a little more clarity about some of the things that are going on in this world, and how we just are kind of overlooking the elephant in the room. That what happened, And a lot of people have been medicated, or have been self-medicating or something, and we don't have answers, and it's very dangerous, You can't just withdraw from Cymbalta. The reason I'm weaning down is because you can't just quit. If I dropped 120 to 0, I'd be dead right now. That's true with a lot of medications, but we get used to, a lot of people think of other medications, that are lighter, or, say sometimes alcohol, marijuana, things like that you can just stop. And then, marijuana for sure, you can just stop, and then you're going to be a little irritable, but you're not going to die. But these medications, you can't do that. And it's not just because of, you're going to feel sick and throw up. I mean, that'll happen. But, you're going to have some other serious issues, start messing with your head, And my hope is that, through watching these things, you can find out that's not going to happen. You're going to make it. You're going to beat this. And this community, there's people out there that need you to share your story and to share your, what happened to you, and then with your journey, because building a community is basically what's happening with this thing. People are not getting answers from doctors, and so they're getting them from each other, and obviously you got to be careful with what you take in, take some, drop some, whatever. Just like me, rambling a mile a minute right here, I'll own it, might make me look foolish, I get trolled, whatever, it's in the end game. All I want to do is make sure that somebody else doesn't have to go through as hard a journey as I did, or the people that I've seen their videos, and more importantly, not hurt themselves, because you are valuable to this world. Whoever you are valuable to this world. You may not feel that way right now. You may not have felt that way before you got put on the medication, but you are valuable to this world. One of the things that helps me is I do have a faith. I'm not going to bring all that up on these videos. I feel like that's not the place for them, but it has been a help for me. It's a place to go. If anybody ever wanted to talk about it, I'd talk about that privately as well, but I won't hammer anybody down. I'm not going to start preaching or anything. It's just been a place to go. Some people call it a crutch. Some people call it a faith, whatever. It's faith to me, and it's what I believe in. It's of help. Try to take some control by documenting or journaling. I've heard people that journal, that helps. I've had people suggest drawing and things like that. That I'm a little too self-critical right now to do that. It's the same with writing. I write a lot, and that's writing. Some of the stuff I do online, I can't do it right now. It's too critical. And also sometimes that can cause waves too. They say moving your eyes too much left and right, which that's out there too. You can research that on Google. It's all documented. So pretty much some of these crazy symptoms you'll read about or see about on videos, you'll hear or see and wonder if this is real. Or somebody that's not going through it, that has a friend or a loved one, will be like, this doesn't seem real. It's because, they don't have any experience with it. And you're probably, at least I think, good. You don't want this experience, but understand that this is happening. So don't judge somebody when they say that, they're having this depersonalization, or they're losing their mind and all this kind of stuff, or they feel like their chest is exploding, whatever. You got to take them seriously, because, they're people. And just like they were put on this medication because they needed some help, they need help now getting off of it. So if you're out there and you're watching that and you know somebody like that, please be supportive to them. More than anything, they need help. I'm not saying that for me. I'm saying that for your friend or your family member. Truly, this is a nightmare. Like I said, I went through 2005 to 2012 with an illness that almost killed me. And this is harder than that. That's real. That's as real as I can get. This is way harder than that. This is literally the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. And I've been through some stuff. I got jumped one time and had my head cracked on the ground twice, to where I woke up in the hospital with my head split open. I have been through some stuff, and this is by far the hardest thing. This is probably something I take with me for the rest of my life. That I'll always have to be careful, because as of now, I don't trust doctors as much as I probably should, I guess. I don't know. Some people say, well, don't go overboard. And it's like, man, I don't even want to. I feel like if I got struck with another illness right now, I feel like I'd take it. But that's a side effect of, going through all this stuff with doctors and them not helping out with this, but them so easily putting you on. Or they want to say, I hear this a lot from people, that it's often like, oh, you're going through the same problems but worse, that's why we put you on. It's like, man, look, I wasn't losing my mind before. I didn't feel like, I was having panic. I wasn't having panic attacks. I had anxiety issues, and there's people I worked with in the past. Some of them probably watching this video right now. I'm not talking in the past when I was 25 or something. That would say, oh, Brandon had a temper problem. Oh, Brandon had some anxiety issues or something. But there would be no one that could tell you a story about how, I was falling out and passing out and things of that nature. Those things didn't happen. And then there's probably the people out there, the naysayers, that'll say, well, it's because it's getting worse. Well, it's convenient that it just starts, in January, and then starts kind of getting a little better by, it just doesn't make sense. I have worse rage the last year of taking Klonopin than I do now even, I don't really have a lot of rage problems now. I have a lot of fear. Fear seems to be the overwhelming symptom I hear about a lot. Fear of everything. Fear of your loved ones leaving you. Fear of dying. Fear of the banking industry falling apart. I mean, just fear of things you can't even control. But what's crazy is I was thinking those ways even before I stopped taking the Klonopin. They were worse, actually. So I knew I was in a tolerance withdrawal. I mean, I was worrying about the banking industry falling apart. The reason I actually made the final jump was I was worrying that what happens with, we were seeing at the time, I think the government was kind of having some trouble with, with Korea or something, and there was some tweeting going back and forth or whatever, and I started worrying like, well, oh my God, what if we go to war? What if all the pharmacies, companies and stuff can't pop these medications out? A third of the United States is, on medication, and what happens is everybody going to just walk around like death and dying in the streets? I started worrying about this stuff, and those are things I can't control, and I shouldn't be worried about that, and I definitely shouldn't have been worried about that while I was on, Klonopin, and so now I'm obviously not worried about that. For one, I'm not taking the medication. It's but you have to deal with the withdrawals. The struggle is worth it, to be free. I will, going forward, continue to use therapy for all anxiety control every way I can. I don't want any more medications. I'm not recommending that to anybody. I'm just saying that's for me, what I'm doing. So don't just think you can just quit these medicines and get through your withdrawals and everything will be like 100%. If you were put on them for a reason, you're going to have to deal with those things. A lot of these things might even be feeling worse afterwards because you've had this blanket over you for a while. And in some ways, your coping skills, we either went to sleep for a little while or just kind of, numb, So now some of the things I'm having to kind of, that's why bringing your environment in is good, try to reduce the amount of drama and stress that you have going on. Like I said, there's a lot of people who have been very supportive, not just people who are on YouTube, but people who have seen this video. And I thank you, for that. That means a lot. I appreciate the people acknowledging it like that. That feels good. A lot of people, like I said, have known me for a long time. Maybe they haven't seen me in a long time, but they knew me a long time ago. And they would probably tell you that, Brandon had a lot of anger problems. And I would say they were right. I was a miserable person. I was trying to be 10 different people that I thought society wanted me to be. Definitely was caught up in, it felt like I was in the social media age and the Instagram age before competing with things I couldn't control long before we actually got there. Which is why now, like, getting off of that and taking some time off work has been helpful because it was like doubling down on the stress. I just couldn't deal with it in these withdrawals or in the tolerance withdrawals. I couldn't handle it. But those people that I worked with in the past would tell you that, yeah, I can see him suffering right now. He's talking a mile a minute. He's scatterbrained and everything. Yes, he had anger problems back in the day. However, he wasn't passing out. He wasn't falling out. There was some issues where, he might have been a little intimidating and stuff, but, wasn't, there's a level that I would reach and just back down. But if they had seen some of the things I've been through in the last, 5 years on medication, they would say, that seems like it made it worse, And so maybe in the beginning, from 2 to 4 weeks, those benzos, as they're designed to do, work quite effectively. But after that, they begin to reduce their effectiveness and you go into tolerance withdrawal. You may not see the whole symptoms of those tolerance withdrawals until, 45 minutes till, I don't know why I said 45 minutes, till if it's 2 months it takes to do that, you might not notice it for a year, and then in the next year it might get worse, and the next year it might get worse. You just may not notice it. That's the way this thing works. So my point is that people need to have a little understanding of what's going on, and hopefully people will, if you're in a situation like this, that you can, sit back and say, okay, I have hope. Hopefully you have somebody in your life, whether it's family or a partner or whatever, friends that can help you out with this, that hopefully, you can get that support you need. If not, there's plenty of people online, I'm going to tell you one of the things that sounds silly that helps me, because insomnia is still an issue I deal with tremendously. But, days sometimes without sleeping if I don't do something, proactive for it. But that I'll use, I found ASMR videos on YouTube, highly effective for me. Um, Even if it's just to calm down a wave, it helps there too, just to be able to sit back, put the headphones on, listen to some ASMR. There's some really bad ones and there's some really good ones. If you ever have need any advice on that, I'll be happy to point a few of them out. But those are a big part of my life, and honestly, they don't know this, but there's a few of them that I've played so many times through this whole 6 months that I've started this, that I almost can know some of the things literally by heart. However, they're a safe place for me to go, and they're relaxing, and in some ways I could say they've helped save my life, So that's tremendous that some of these, people online, they don't even know, and some of them might even be doing it for a living, but they have no idea that, I am using that sometimes to help calm myself down and sleep. Very effective. And anything you can do to make yourself calm down or believe that you're going to be okay, you should do that, as long as it's, it's moral and not immoral and all that kind of stuff. And to explain further on that is, if it took you to lay down and play something on loop or repeat that was just giving you affirmation or something, then do that. Nobody's judging you. Nobody. I mean, and those who are don't really matter. The community will understand. And both, you need to fight for yourself. And even if you don't feel like you have a fight in you, then just sit back and calm down and try to be as peaceful as you can, however you can get there, and maybe you'll be able to gain some of that strength back to fight. I've several times listened to people that have made these videos and played them, and they say a lot of the same things, like you're going to be okay, which you are, and things of that nature. And hearing that, sometimes I play it over and over again, just because it's that important. So the people out there making these videos who are in these kind of withdrawals, I salute them, respect them, and I thank them. And if you're in the situation too, or you know somebody in the situation, maybe you need seeing more videos like this. I wish I had made more videos in the beginning, although I was so out of it, I don't even know. I mean, it's hard for me to make these videos now. I don't like doing this. It's uncomfortable for me. But there again, I'm trying to kind of think of some other people besides myself, and think that, maybe it'll help someone. I'm not saying it, hopefully, maybe it'll save a life. I don't know. I just hope it's positive, and that the one thing out of all this right now at 42 minutes of rambling that I've done is that you should take away from this is that you will be okay. You are valuable. You are very important to this planet, and this is temporary. Even if it takes a year, even if it takes 2 years, you can make it. You are loved, and I don't even know you, and I care about you. You can believe that, or you could say I'm full of crap or whatever. And I get that, because I probably think the same thing at some points in this journey. But I'm telling you, you're going to be okay, and I do care about you, and other people care about you. And if I'm not the one to talk to or to watch, there's plenty of videos out there, and there's plenty of information out there that'll give you the affirmation you need, plenty of groups you can join, and anything that I can do to help you, whether my wife, online, she is able to pass on information sometimes via me and vice versa. As long as I'm not in another wave or something, I'd be glad to help and share that. I just need you to know that you're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay, so I know you're going to be okay too. So keep fighting a good fight. Sounds cheesy, but I love you guys, all of you. I want you to be okay. It's sad times for some of us. Our lives have been literally just flipped around, and you feel like you're out of control. But you just got to hang on. It'll be okay. Time will take it. You will be okay. Anyways, enough rambling. The next video will be shorter, hopefully. Say that. I may even come in with a list next time or something. That seems kind of rude to do on video. But anyways, I hope everybody has a good day. And remember, if you're in this or you know someone in this, please be supportive to them. And if you're in it, keep hope. Okay? Watch as many videos as you need, ASMR, whatever, and just keep fighting the good fight. Okay? Peace.